There fashion designers, welcome to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time here on this channel, you are welcome. Kindly click on the subscribe button to join this beautiful community of designers, and if you're a returning viewer, please subscribe as well so you don't miss out on any content that I'll be dropping. I post content that will improve your fashion designing skill and business as well. So in today's video, I'll be sharing with you how to paint an half sunflower on a fabric using an acrylic paint. I'll be sharing with you how to draw the pattern and other patterns that you might want to draw. I will share with you tips and tricks on painting a fabric. I have more than 2 videos on fabric painting on this channel. I'll leave the link on the description or on the comment section. You can check it out if you want to know more on fabric painting. Now let's get started. So for this painting, my inspiration was this, and then I went ahead to draw my pattern. Now for my pattern, I first start off with an half circle since we are working with an half sunflower. So I drew the small circle and then I measured about 3 inches away from it to form another circle, which is the bigger one. So that one is going to be where we are going to be using the pattern. So I went ahead to draw flowers just like this, the leaf. I lost the clips of while I was drawing, so you can just go ahead to draw your pattern. I did this free-handedly. I had a picture of the sunflower on my phone, so I was just drawing it out using my tailor's chalk. You can use pencil or fabric pencil if you want to, whatever that works for you. Okay, so I just draw the pattern free-handedly. Now another way you can achieve pattern on your fabric is by printing it out. If you are not good in drawing freehand, you can just print it out on a paper, then you get a transfer sheet and then you trace it using a pen or a pencil on your fabric. That's another way you can transfer patterns to your fabric. Okay, let me take that again. You print out your pattern, the pattern of what you want to draw, either a flower, whatsoever. Then you get a transfer sheet. A transfer sheet is usually black in color. They use it those days for receipts. You can just ask around in a bookshop for a transfer sheet and they will give it to you. One thing you also need to note while painting with an acrylic paint is that you can use what we call a modeling paste. Now for this painting, I didn't use a modeling paste. I painted it directly on the fabric, which also came out okay. The fabric I'm using here is a Mikado fabric, so I'm just painting an half sunflower on it. Now, so first I'm going to get my acrylic paint, and then I'm using a regular acrylic paint. No big deal in the brand. There are more expensive acrylic paints. I feel any acrylic paints will work. I think I bought a tube 3,000 naira. So I'm just going to get my brush and then I'm going to start painting. Now while painting, make sure that you try to blend in. I don't know if some of us are good in makeup, just the way we blend in, you know, our foundations into our skin and then making it to rhyme. That's the same thing you do while you are painting. Or let me use the word powder. When you are rubbing your powder, you tend to, you know, make sure that everything blends appropriately. So that's the same thing what you'll be doing on this fabric. So I'm just using my brush and then I'm painting it yellow into the fabric just like this. Now if you have not watched my video on fabric painting, please make sure that you go and watch it. It's very important because I shared with you the basis on fabric painting. Those bases are very important if you want to paint your fabric effectively. I also have videos on different techniques of fabric painting. I also have a video on explaining different types of paints, the fabric paint, the airbrush, you know, different way on how one can paint a fabric. Make sure that you go ahead and watch those videos to have better understanding on how to paint a fabric. I'm going to go in with the first layer. All right, I'm trying to paint the complete leaf first, and when I'm done with that, I'm going to let it dry. So while it's drying, I'm going to go ahead to paint the small circle brown. Okay, now I didn't get a brown acrylic paint because I had the 3 primary colors, which are yellow, blue and red. I mixed the 3 together to achieve this brown color. Okay, so one good thing about fabric painting is that you can mix different color. I explained this in one of the video that I made on Vicky James outfits. She used a black color and white color of acrylic paint to achieve ash. So her outfit was transitioning from black to ash to another lighter shade of ash, and then she used white to make lines on the bodies. So check out the link. You can check the link on my comment section or on the description to watch more video. Now on the second part here, I'm going to go ahead to paint the old flowers while I let the other ones to dry as well. Okay, it's very important while you paint, allow it to dry before you now paint again. Make sure that you dry. All right, so I'm just blending it in. For this second one, I blended in the paint very well to make it much more smooth. Okay, I let it to sink, you know, into the fabric. I didn't do that in the other one, but just watch how I'm painting it. You will see that I'm not using a lot of paint and I'm applying a bit of pressure so as to smoothen it out. I'm sorry that it's a little bit blur, so you just use your brush to blend it in very well. Okay, you see that it's looking much more nicer than the first one which I made earlier. Like it blends in appropriately very well. Okay, so the kind of brush that you also use also matters. In this video I'm using the regular brush that you can get on the street, not the professional artist brush. It's also an artist brush, but you know, not the professional one. There are different types of brush. When you get to an art shop, they will explain to you different brands, you know, different makers, different price as well. But I'm using this one because it's the regular one. In fact, I think some secondary school students uses this as well to use it for their watercolor. Yes, so it's not a big deal depending on what you are drawing. But for this half sunflower, you just need this basic brush, nothing much, especially from the beginning. In my previous video, I've explained, you know, the way of painting. We have the full painting, and then you have the shade where you add shadows to it and contrast color. Okay, so while painting for beginners, it's important that you know it's not just about using one color. You need to give your painting, you know, shade using maybe a deeper color or a lighter color. So you can check out the video. I explained more on how to do this kind of painting. That's a point that we need to understand. So just like I did in the first half flower too, I'm going to go in and paint the whole flower first, all right, before I will now come in to paint the half one. So like I said, allow it to dry. Okay, so after it's done, while that's drying, I'm going to go ahead to paint the brown part on for the small circle on the inner circle. But depending on your inspiration of color, I chose to use brown. Some people can use black, but because I'm using a black fabric, I decided to go in with brown, because sunflower also have a bit of black and brown. Okay, that's the seed part, so I'm making use of brown for this. And then I'm just going to go ahead to, you know, just blend it together just like this. So if you want to paint some basic painting like this one, you don't need so much of painting tools. All right, so here I've gone ahead to allow it to dry, and I also went ahead to paint it again. Okay, I added another layer, blend it in, and also allow it to dry. So after you let it dry, add more paint to it, let it dry, add more paint to it, and then it's going to come out, you know, much more beautiful and okay. So I was using natural air to dry it. I wanted to complete the painting in a day, so I had to use fan. Okay, so I brought a fan close by, then prepared my workspace. Now I've mentioned it in my previous video, so you need to watch the introduction. When you are painting, make sure that you cover your workspace. Okay, now something about acrylic paint that I want you to also note is that it is not when it stains your object, or you can clean it, you will just need to clean it immediately. So make sure that you clean the paint immediately. It's cleanable. Okay, and even for the clothes, maybe you mistakenly paint somewhere, which you should try to avoid. Okay, just get a piece of fabric, cotton fabric preferable, and then add a little bit of water, and then you clean it off and it will clean off. Okay, so it's not permanent as long as you don't allow it to dry immediately. It's when it's still wet you go in and clean it. So I've gone ahead to complete the remaining flower parts just like this. Okay, and then I'll do the same thing on the other side. So for faster results, make use of fan, or if you have an air dryer, get an air dryer, and then you can dry it so that you can continue painting. So if you want to paint very fast, like now I've painted other fabric. Every time I do my painting, I just make use of fan, or I get an air dryer to make my work faster. So it's okay if you do that, and it's going to even help when you make use of air dryer. It's even going to help the acrylic paint to stick longer, because one of the way on how you can make this painting permanent is its effect, which I will also be explaining later on in the video. Okay, so make sure that you get something to dry it off before you add more paint. So I did about 3 layers. That means I painted it, I think, 2 to 3 times. Okay, so, and this was only yellow. I'm still going to add another paint to it. You can decide not to use about 2-3 layers. You can just use a modeling paste to first of all highlight your pattern. That's where you want to paint, and then you will now go in with your paint. 1 or 2 is okay. Okay, because the modeling paste makes your painting to come out more. All right, so but for here I'm just using the acrylic paint, and I'm painting 2 to 3 layers. But make sure that it dries off completely before you add another layer to it. Another way you can also draw your pattern, there are also painting utensils on some shops online or on Temu. You can order for it, their utensils, so that one is also easy to paint. So you just place the utensils, and then you will paint on it. The disadvantage of that is that depending on what you are painting actually is the highlighting factor. You still need to go in with your hand to, you know, highlight and add in some shadows, but it makes your work very easy, okay, and very neat as well. That's the main advantage of it. So sorry about all what I'm placing, because I'm making use of fan to dry it. You know, fan will blow my fabric up, so I had to secure it down on my table with things that I could just get close by. Now I have worked on the second flower. I've done some highlighting, which I'm going to also show you. Okay, but before then, so for my inspiration, it had this dots, and I just made use of a cutting board to pick up my acrylic paint and give it the shape that I want. The brush is not doing the job itself, okay, with what I want, so I made use of an acrylic paint. You can make use of other utensils. There are utensils that one can use as well. You can get them in an art shop, but cutting board is also part of painting utensils. So before you say, oh, that's not right, cutting board is also part of painting utensils. Yes, so depending on what you are doing. So you can see the effect it's giving me. It's absorbing the paint and it's also releasing it on the fabric as well. So I'll just go ahead to just do the dots. So for the highlighting, okay, I'm just going in with 3 colors to, you know, get an orange color. I'm trying to get an orange color, and to get an orange color I might need a brown color and a yellow color. So I might need to, you can just check online. So this way you can check online, how can I get brown color, how can I get an orange color. There are videos online to direct you on different colors that you can combine to get an orange color. So I just, you know, tried to get a brown color first, and then I now wanted to add in yellow color. Now to get my orange, I just, you know, washed off what I had in my paint, the brown color I had in my paint, and then added in a yellow acrylic paint. All right, so I tried to see that it gives me my desired color. And also to make sure that it's a little bit watery. Okay, I was using the acrylic paint and that one was, you know, was a little bit thick. But for the highlighting, I need something that is light. Okay, while highlighting your painting, you will need something that is light. You don't need it to be thick. Okay, it's going to spoil your painting. Now the highlighting is to give it, you know, some shadows and some realness. So another thing that is very important that you need to do while painting is to test your paint. Okay, test it on a fabric before you put it on your main fabric. It's very important. One of the things that we fashion designers in Nigeria don't do is testing things, like, you know, creating mock of outfits before creating the main outfit. So you can see what I'm doing. I'm highlighting it. It was much, I just cleaned it up a little bit. So this is what I mean by highlighting. So at the edge, I just went in with a color, the orange color, like a mustard yellow, you know, the deeper shade, and I highlighted the flowers. Okay, so you can see it's very important that you highlight your painting. Okay, there are different ways of highlighting your painting. You can also use metallic, you know, to create highlights on the sunflower. I have a video on where I showed you what a metallic paint looks like. That's also another way. You can use your fabric paint and glitter dust to also create highlights if you want. Now depending on what you are trying to paint. Okay, so these are things that we need to note about fabric paint. You know what you want to paint first, determine how it's going to look, the process you're going to do, you know, before you're going to start painting it. So here I'm using a broom just to create a smaller dot, you know, for our sunflower seeds. Okay, so when I was done with all the painting, I went ahead to allow it to dry, and then afterwards I went ahead to iron it. Now I did not place my iron directly on the paint. Try to avoid that. Even subsequently, when you want to iron the back of the dress. It's not the paint itself. It can stick to your paint, or you know, it will give you something that you don't like. So for the heat process to make this acrylic paint permanent, I placed a plain paper, A4 paper, and then I ironed the A4 paper. Okay, that means I was ironing the outfit, but not directly. I was not placing my iron directly on the paint. Not a steam iron, a dry iron. That's also another thing. So place your dry iron on the paper and then you iron it. Let it, you know, to be hot for some time. Let it allow it to be hot for some time, and this will stay permanent. Giving this thing more than five wash and it's still permanent. I've had other fabric that are painted as well, and it's still permanent, and it still remains the same shade, the same, nothing is wrong. In fact, the moment you wash and then you iron it, it comes, you know, it comes out nicer. You see it popping, like, you know, as if there's oil on the surface, but it just makes it to shine. So that's it on how to paint a fabric. I'm going to drop more videos on fabric painting, on outfits that I've painted, so make sure that you subscribe. I'll be releasing it at any point in time. I also created a group of community where you can join to ask questions, and I'll also be sharing on the group updates on when I'm dropping the next video, or if you want to request a video, you can as well join or ask in the comment section. So if you have any question as well, ask in the comment section. I do well to reply all my comments. Thank you so much for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.